Yeah? That's good. So we can quickly recap what we learned today. So who can tell me what, or who we talked about? We can start off with who did we talk about today? Gia? Saul, and what was really important about what happened to Saul? You can tell me. Yeah, he saw Jesus. And what happened to Saul after that? He got blind, and he couldn't eat or drink anything for 3 days. And so Saul is now changed to Paul, and Paul is praying for 3 days, and who shows up to him? David? And who's Ananias?
A believer.
Right, so God shows up to Ananias before and says, hey, you have to go and meet Paul. So he's praying right now, and he can't see, but you're going to go up to him, and you're going to cover his eyes so that he can see again. And so Ananias is hesitant to go at first, but he does eventually go, and he goes and prays over him and covers his eyes, and Paul can now see. And what does Paul do after his sight is restored? What does he start doing? Where does he go? Does he start preaching the word, or does he just ignore the experience and just kind of go back to what he was doing before? What do you think, Gio? So, yeah, exactly. Within 3 days, he's completely transformed. And so, before he was persecuting Christians, but now, immediately afterwards, after he gets baptized, he starts preaching the word and spreading the word to other believers. And, yeah. So that's our story today. And let's start with our worship. So I'll quickly pray and we can go into worship. Thank you, Lord, for gathering us all here today. Even during this cold weather and these circumstances, I pray that you will all watch over each and every one of us and keep us healthy and safe during this time. I pray that you'll bless this time and bless Pastor Tim and his message today, and I pray that we'll also be able to take what we learned and tell others about the goodness. In Jesus' name we pray. So you can stand, get ready for worship.
Praise
Good job.
After Jesus died, rose from the dead, and ascended to heaven, people in Jerusalem who believed in Jesus were persecuted or treated cruelly because of their faith. One of Jesus' followers, Stephen, was even killed. A man named Saul had watched in approval when Stephen was killed. Saul wanted to put an end to the church. He went into the believers' homes, dragged them out, and put them in jail. Many believers fled the city. Saul headed to Damascus to arrest believers there, but on the way, a bright light from heaven suddenly flashed around him. Saul fell to the ground. He heard a voice saying, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" "Who are you, Lord?" Saul asked. "I am Jesus," he replied. "Get up and go into the city. Then you will be told what you must do." Saul got up and opened his eyes, but he couldn't see. So the men who were traveling with Saul led him by the hand into Damascus. Ananias, a disciple of Jesus, lived in Damascus. The Lord spoke to Ananias in a vision. He told Ananias to go to the house where Saul was staying. Ananias knew that Saul had hurt many believers and that he arrested anyone who believed in Jesus. But the Lord said, "Go, I have chosen this man to take my name to Gentiles, kings, and Israelites." Ananias obeyed. He found Saul and told Saul that Jesus had sent him to help. Ananias put his hands on Saul, and Saul could see again. Saul got up and was baptized. For the next few days, Saul stayed with the believers in Damascus. He began to go to the synagogues to preach about Jesus. Saul told the people, "Jesus is the Son of God." The people were amazed. They recognized Saul and knew he had wanted to put an end to the church. Now he was one of them. The Jews did not like Saul's message. They planned to kill him, so one night Saul left the city. The disciples helped Saul escape by lowering him down the city wall in a basket. Saul was also known as Paul. Jesus appeared to Saul and changed him inside and out. Jesus Christ came into the world to save sinners. Jesus called Paul, who was once an enemy to Christians, to spend the rest of his life telling people the gospel and leading them to trust in Jesus.
Morning, everybody. Sorry to those of you streaming online. Okay. Morning, everybody. You guys have a good week? A little cold out there, though. This week, we're talking about a guy by the name of, what's his name? Saul. What was Saul doing to the early church at this point? Chasing them down, putting them in prison, persecuting the church. A couple weeks ago, we talked about Stephen's martyrdom, and when people were picking up stones to throw at Stephen, it said that Saul was holding their coats. That he even agreed with what they were doing. And so today we see him carry that onward. Now, what did we talk about last week? We talked about this guy named Philip. And Philip met a man. And a man while he was riding in his chariot. And that man was reading out of the Bible, was reading out of Isaiah. And it provided an opportunity for Philip to share the gospel, good news, with this Ethiopian, this official. This week, we're also looking at the gospel, and the gospel spreading in different ways. So, we're delving once more into the early church. Why does the church exist? Well, the church exists to glorify God by worshiping Him, showing His love, and telling others about Jesus. And so last week we talked about the Ethiopian. God provided the opportunity for salvation. And this week we're continuing the account of how the church spread, how the gospel changes us. So while on this journey, we have Saul. Saul was the one holding the coats of the people who stoned Stephen. He agreed with them. Saul was religious. He was a devout Jew. He thought that by persecuting these Christians, he's going after people who are what he considered blasphemers. He thought he was doing right by going after and persecuting these Christians. And he even went to get letters that he had the authority to go and arrest believers. Up here we have the image of shackles, of having people in chains and dragging them out. He was going to arrest them. But God had other plans. While he's on this journey, he has an encounter with Jesus that changes his life forever. On this road to Damascus. So if you look up here, this is where he was. He was in Jerusalem. He's going way out of his way to go up to Damascus, just to seek out any believers that are there.